Hey everyone, Professor Falconer here. Apologies for my voice, I'm coming down with something. So, I wanted to talk to you today about something very important. And to preface that, I want to tell you about my job. So, my job is I'm a social media coordinator. And what that means is that there are artists and content creators out there who love creating their work, but they may have difficulty with the social media aspect, things like Facebook, Twitter, Tumblr, etc. So they call on people such as myself to take care of the busy behind the scenes work while they go ahead and do stuff like interact with the community more and have more time to focus on their creations. Now, as you'd expect, content creators need to spend a lot of time and focus on creating their content. And so they use services such as Patreon in order to facilitate the sale of that content. If you don't know what Patreon is, I don't know what to tell you. You'll have to look it up because it's too long to explain. But Patreon has a very simple system where you pay money and in return, the content creators send content to you on a regular basis, depending on which tier level that you subscribe to. All of this gets disrupted when that money stops coming in. And there's many reasons why that can happen. But the one I want to talk about today is one that is important to me because it's something that happened recently with one of my clients. You see, someone out there decided to go ahead and spend money on a Patreon tier, a one-time thing, and they took all the content that they were given and distributed it online for people to download and enjoy. This is theft. Let's make that perfectly clear. Leaking Patreon content online is theft. It hurts people. It really is a huge problem that people often take for granted, or they don't truly understand the ramifications of who it hurts. So I'm here today to tell you exactly who it hurts. And it boils down to three categories. Number one, it hurts the model. Now, I'm saying model because of simplicity's sake, but what I truly mean is content creator. So artists, musicians, writers, people who are making video games or other projects, this all falls under that scope. Models, like I said before, it's easy. They create content, and using Patreon, their patrons will send money for that content. When that money stops coming in, that becomes a huge problem because they need that money. They truly, really need that money. We're not talking about Beyonce. We're not talking about Led Zeppelin. We're not talking about any humongous, successful artist. This is not a service for people like that. Those people have record contracts. Those people have zillions and zillions of fans. Those people have made it. They're not using Patreon. The people who are using Patreon are by all means successful, don't get me wrong, but these are people who need this money to fund their day-to-day lives. These are people who need this money to pay bills, to get food, to buy equipment for new content, to buy new outfits in the case of models, for example. This is important. This two-way street is extremely important. And if that gets disrupted, then the model no longer has the ability to create the content that she loves and that you love as well. Instead, she's going to have to make some sacrifices, such as either charging more for existing tiers or perhaps quitting altogether. Because if it's no longer financially viable, then as much as their work means to them, they can't do it. They can't do it if they can't eat, right? So, by disrupting that system, you are hurting the model in a major way. And it's a humongous problem. Which leads me to number two. It hurts yourself. Now let's say that you've got 20 bucks. You're going to go on Patreon and you're going to go to a model and you're going to find they have a $20 tier and you're going to pay that 20 bucks for that content. the two-way street works because money's going that way and content's going that way. Everything's fine. But then you take that content and you use Google Drive or whatever other file sharing service and you post it online for people to enjoy and download for free. Do you see the problem here? Because you've taken your money and you've just made it worthless. You've made your purchase worthless. You're paying for everyone else's downloads. And this isn't a bar. You're not buying drinks for the house. You're stealing money from a content creator. And you're stealing money from yourself. Because now your money is meaningless. Your purchase, your $20 is worthless now because you've just taken the value of that content and totally tanked it. It's worthless now because it's freely available online. So to do so, to pay the money, get the content, and put it out there, it's a sucker's deal. You're a straight up sucker if you spend that money and make that content available for everyone. And speaking of, it hurts the entire Patreon community. Look, right now, Patreon's at a point where it is still financially viable. So the win-loss ratio here is still on the winning side, which means that it is still profitable, even though there are people who steal content, even though sometimes people will cancel their Patreon support, even though a number of things. Patreon is still financially viable. It is still a service that artists and other content creators can use to make money so they can survive and get their work out there for people to enjoy. If this continues to happen, though, if theft of this sort continues to happen, not even at greater frequency, if it just keeps happening, period, then eventually people are going to lose trust in Patreon. Either content creators are going to no longer trust Patreon because their work will just get stolen, or the patrons themselves will stop trusting Patreon because they'll just know that if they spend money, it's totally pointless because they can just get it for free elsewhere, and they're going to take the better deal, which is free, always free. And so Patreon loses its viability. It becomes a losing game. And either the content creators stop creating content, they quit, they go find other jobs, other means of sustaining themselves, or Patreon is perhaps shut down or made obsolete and replaced with a different company that's like Patreon but a little different. But the problem there is the legacy of Patreon remains. The legacy of how people were too stupid and too greedy to allow a successful business model, that is, of having money go this way and content go this way, just couldn't be done. It's impossible because people are too stupid to let it happen. This isn't new, by the way, patronizing artists. In fact, this is one of the oldest things that have been around for a very long time. People patronize artists by giving them money or supporting them in exchange for their art. And now it's being disrupted because someone decided they're going to take their money and completely throw it away for a reason I can't fathom. All because they feel it's a victimless crime. Well, it's not. And hopefully this video shows you it's not, because it hurts so many people. And it's not worth it. Any gain you think there is from leaking this content, from stealing this content, it is not there. It only hurts. So, what can be done? Well, it's not on me, and it's not on the content creators either. It's on you. If you know someone who has stolen content and has it available to be downloaded online, don't tell me. Don't even tell the artists. Although, no, you probably should tell the artists. But more importantly, tell them. Tell the thieves themselves to stop, to take down that leaked content. And if you yourself have done it, I urge you, I beg you, take down that leaked content. Because you're only hurting people. You're only making things worse. And in the end, you're hurting art as a whole. And I can't think of a reasonable explanation for why anyone would want to do that. So, I hope this has been informative. I hope this has been helpful. And maybe time will tell. Or maybe I'll have to do another one of these videos. I don't know. All I know is that for now, I'm Professor Falconer. And until next time, stay hydrated.